Hey everybody, welcome back to Leading Forward, a space where we talk about worship, leadership, and everything in between. Today we're going to dig into something that I really think is important. Honestly, something that's often misunderstood. That's the role of the campus pastor. So stay tuned, here we go. All right, guys, so if you're in a multi-site church or exploring that model, you already know it comes with both opportunity and complexity. And the campus pastor sits right in the middle of that tension. The role is less about being on the platform and more about being present. It's not about preaching every Sunday. It's about leading people, creating culture, and keeping the vision alive right where you are. So let's look at a couple steps here. Number one, the bridge between vision and execution. The campus pastor really is the bridge between the vision of the lead pastor and the lived out experience of the local church. And listen, the role isn't about being a carbon copy. It's about being a carrier of culture. So you're taking what's been entrusted to you, the mission, the heart, the values, and you're translating that into something that resonates in your context. Early on, I can remember when I was helping launch a campus, I thought the win was making sure everything looked and sounded just like the main campus. But I learned that excellence isn't duplication, it's contextualization. You carry the DNA, not the clone. People need to see that what you're experiencing at your campus is part of the larger story, but they also need to feel like this is their church. And the balance is what you're stewarding, okay? Number two, shepherding without preaching. Let's talk about one of the biggest misconceptions that if you're not preaching, you're not really pastoring. That's just not true. Anybody tells you that, they're wrong. Some of the most effective ministry I've seen in my career is the kind that leaves a lasting impact. It doesn't happen from the platform. It actually happens most of the time in the lobby or over coffee, in hospital rooms, in the hallway conversations, right after service, right before the music starts, whatever. That's where real pastoring happens. I've had seasons where, it wasn't the guy on the platform who helped me through something. It was the campus pastor who showed up in my life, who listened, who prayed with me, who followed up and stayed consistent. What we need to realize is people need presence more than they need polish. They need pastors, not performers. Okay. Number three, leadership over management. Now, here's the thing. Just because you're running services and scheduling teams doesn't mean you're leading. You can manage a ministry without actually leading people. And real leadership, in my opinion, looks like investing in your team, listening to them, helping them grow in their calling, not just plugging them in a schedule and hoping they show up. All right. You're not the only pastor on your team. You're not the only one with the answers. And leadership isn't micromanaging or controlling any outcomes. It's really about empowering people to lead and thrive in their roles, right? So I've seen leaders who, they feel threatened, and you've probably experienced this, where they feel threatened when someone else has, where their team shines or someone on the team shines, or they have some great ideas. But hear me on this, guys. Healthy leaders celebrate that. That's part of your job, is to develop people who are even better than you in certain areas. So if your campus runs smoothly, but your team doesn't feel valued or heard or empowered, the reality is you're not winning at all. Leadership isn't about it's about developing people, right? It's not just delivering programs. It's not just running your own thing and just doing your own thing. It's not. All right. Number four, culture keepers and community builders. Here's where I think a lot of campus pastors can miss it. We think people will show up and stick around because the music's good, or the preaching is solid, or they have a great children's ministry, or whatever it be the case. But let's be honest, people are consumers now more than ever. They have options. They can hop online. They can scroll through a dozen churches and watch things. They bounce between buildings like it's Netflix. All right. So what keeps people coming back? It's culture. Period. People stay because they feel known. They stay because they feel like they belong. And that's something no sermon or song can do by itself. That's why, in my opinion, the role of the campus pastor as a culture keeper is so critical. You're setting the tone. Not only are you setting the tone, but you're building a place where people feel welcome, where they feel seen, and feel like they have a safe place to grow. And let me say this clearly. Part of your job is to fight for a healthy, transparent kingdom culture. It's not your job to micromanage or try to control everything. And it's definitely not your role to just plug and play volunteers like interchangeable parts. That's not leadership. It's what it is it's insecurity. When you think you're the only one who can carry the weight or bring the answers, your job is to build up, not bottle up. Let me say it again. Your job is to build up, not bottle up. So empowering other leaders to lead is the key. Call out the gold in them. Trust them with real responsibility and feedback. That's the kind of culture people want to be a part of, and that's what grows a healthy church. All right. Number 5, communication and time with your team. This is a big one in my opinion. Let's talk about communication real quick. If you're not regularly communicating with your team, you're not leading. Period. You're not leading. You can't expect your team to carry vision they haven't heard or to live out values you haven't modeled. Communicate, and that's consistently, right? Communication isn't just about giving the instructions. It's about relationship. Let me say it again. Communication isn't just about giving instructions. It's about relationship. Spend time with your team. Be present. Ask questions. Listen more than you speak. Let the people know they matter beyond what they do on Sunday. You would be surprised the perception and the perspective that they have on things if you would just listen to your team. Okay? They see things differently. And you know what? You don't know everything. I don't know everything. And so it's good to hear what other people are saying, what they think. Some of the best moments that I've had in ministry weren't during rehearsals or after service. It was after the rehearsal, right? Or right before the rehearsal, or at a coffee table, or lunch, or just riding in the car together after lunch. Your team doesn't need a boss, and I think that's where a lot of people think they need to be the boss. They need a shepherd, and shepherds know their sheep. Okay, they know their sheep. How do you get to know your sheep? You spend time with them, right? You don't just get so busy and demand things and point to things and point out things. You've got to build that relationship, which means encouraging. That means taking time. You can't just go to them and blast them about whatever it be and think that, well, I have change to make when you haven't even spent any time with them. You just can't do that. It's not leadership. Okay. Number 6, which are my final thoughts on this. If you're a campus pastor, really what I want to do is encourage you. What you do, it does matter. In my opinion, you're the glue that keeps the vision alive and the people connected. You're pastoring, whether you're preaching or not. You're leading, whether your name is on the screen or not. And you're building something that lasts, not through control, but through trust, not through perfection, but through presence, and definitely not through charisma, but through consistent care and intentionality. Keep fighting for health. Keep developing leaders. Keep showing up. Your faithfulness is building something bigger than you know. And again, I would say this: relationship. You should not go week to week without having conversations with your team, because if they grow, your church is going to grow too, because they're going to be healthy. Hey, if this was helpful, I would ask you just take a second and hit the like button, drop a comment. Let me know what part of this might have resonated with you. Listen, I don't know everything. You don't know everything. I'm doing this and I'm learning things too. There's experiences I have, and you might have some other experiences. I'd love to hear what those are. And if you're serving in a campus pastor role, I'd love to hear what God's been teaching you. That would help me learn, honestly. And of course, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. This is Leading Forward and helping you lead worship and lead people well. So keep growing, keep leading, and keep putting Jesus on display. I'll see you next time, guys.